have your attention? Please welcome TechCrunch General Manager and Editor-in-Chief, Connie Loizis.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the center of the startup universe. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us these next 3 days. We're so excited about this event. You're going to be seeing real journalism here in real time. We're so proud of it. We've got so many newsmakers who are coming, and we're going to be asking them the fun questions, but also the tough questions, which is why I think we have all of you coming and speakers who are interested year after year in sharing this stage with us. What we're really proud of this year is more than 12,000 of you registered to attend this. So thank you again. We are going to make it worth every minute of your time, I promise. We have a lot in store for you today. We have, of course, this main stage. We also have 8 other stages that are sector specific that are going to be amazing. AI, fintech, sustainability, robotics. It's going to be great. If you haven't checked it out yet, there is a Deal Flow Cafe next door where we're hoping deals are going to be struck, or at least the beginnings of deals will come together. We also have 2 stages of Startup Battlefield, which of course is the centerpiece of the event, and we're so excited about the contestants that you're going to see. Last but not least, we have chats with Lisa Jackson of Apple, NBA great Shaquille O'Neal, and Kyle Walgren of Ensoma, and Reed Jobs of Yosemite. So to kick things off, please welcome your host for today, the lovely and talented U.S. Managing Editor of TechCrunch, Daryl Etherington. Thanks, guys.
Oh, welcome to Disrupt. As you just heard, this is our biggest show ever in so many ways. It's huge in terms of registrations, huge in terms of stages. There are so many stages, so many. I'm going to list them all. I'm going to read when I do that because there are that many. We have the builders stage. That is where you can go and get practical advice on how to set up your startup, how to get funding, how to do everything. There's the fintech one, space, sustainability, AI, software as a service, hardware, and security. So all of those for the first year ever combined into one massive event, very exciting. And you can't be in multiple places at once, obviously, there's a lot of stuff, but don't worry. We will have VOD for the stuff here, and we will also have Otter AI taking notes everywhere and providing live transcriptions. So it's doing it right now as I'm saying this. You can see it on the thing over here. And we have that for every stage for the first time this year, so that's great. And then we also have the pitch showcase stage, which is downstairs, where startups will actually get to pitch their companies, which is the lifeblood of what we do here at TechCrunch, so be sure to check that out. We have breakouts downstairs, we have roundtables, so you can talk with the people in your industry who matter most, and meet maybe your next co-founder or your next investor, or all of that. But right here, we have, for the first time ever, again, a lot of firsts this year. Starting the show, we have the main event, the thing that all of you love and come here for, which is Startup Battlefield. So let's welcome our first group of contenders for the Disrupt Cup, and also your host for the Startup Battlefield, TechCrunch Managing Editor, Matt Burns.
Oh, wow, there's a lot of you here already. It's only 9:30 in the morning, 9:35, and you guys are packed. Thank you so much for coming. Disrupt is a huge show, but I know why you're really here. You're here for the startups. Thank you so much for coming out. I need you to know that the Startup Battlefield class represents countries across the world. You're going to see companies that are attempting to change the world from so many different vectors. Downstairs, on the second floor, there are 200 companies exhibiting. None of them paid to be here. We take no equity from any company that comes to exhibit. You need to go see those companies. Skip Shack's interview. You can see him on TV. Go downstairs and meet these companies. They're rad. I promise you're going to like them. The Startup Battlefield 200 were selected out of 3,200 companies that applied. We don't charge a fee for application or anything like that. I myself reviewed close to 1,000 applications, and let me tell you, it is hard to narrow it down. Out of the 200, 20 were selected to pitch on this stage. Those 20 were selected as the best of the bunch, and you're going to see some really interesting companies. I'm proud to say that TechCrunch will award a $100,000 check at the end of the convention to the best startup of the bunch, and that's equity free. And I hear that companies love to carry these giant checks through airports. Okay, let's get going. I'm gonna bring out the judges, but before I do that, I need to go over the judging criteria. These judges are going to look and evaluate these companies based on the potential for impact that can either be social or financial. Perhaps a company is headed to a big exit, or they're gonna change the world and not make any money doing it. Both are given equal footing here. So with that, let's get going. Let's have the judges come out right now. I got some bios to read, you're gonna love them. Let me tell you, one of the best parts of my job is taking these long bios and taking a black marker to them and crossing off all their accomplishments. But first, we have Poe. Poe Bronson is a managing director of IndieBio and general partner at SOSV. Coach Poe, as he's sometimes nerved, was a finance and tech journalist covering Silicon Valley for Wired, the New York Times Magazine, and an op-ed contributor for the Wall Street Journal. His science journalism has been honored with 9 national awards and is the author of 7 best-selling books. His work has been cited in 185 academic journals and 503 books. He's also talking later today on the sustainability stage. Next, we have Mark Florentino, partner at Index Ventures. Mark leads investments focusing largely on fintech and application SaaS. He's especially interested in fintech infrastructure, verticalized payment workflows, and SaaS tools disrupting legacy incumbents. Mark is a board member of lead investor of Index and a number of companies, including RevenueCat, Mercantile, and Catch. Prior to Index, Mark helped build and lead business strategy and finance at Stripe from 2015 to 2019, driving key initiatives for sales operations, growth, and fundraising. Mark is talking later today on the FinTech stage. Next is Sarah Idelson, partner at Excel. Sarah joined Excel in 2022 and focuses on early-stage consumer and enterprise companies. Prior to joining Excel, Sarah spent several years as the head of strategic partnership at Fair. Before Fair, Sarah spent 4 years on the global business development team on Uber, working first on the rideshare business and then on Uber Eats. She has a passion for education and is also an angel investor. Next is Libby Wayman, partner at Breakthrough Energy Ventures. Libby is a business and technology leader with experience in research, product development, entrepreneurship, corporate strategy, and venture capital. Libby served as the global director of innovation for GE Strategy, in which GE invested in over $20 billion in clean innovation and generated over $300 billion in revenue. Prior to GE, Libby served as the director for the U.S. Department of Energy and their Clean Energy Manufacturing Initiative. Last, we have Steve Yang. Steve is the founder and managing partner at Kindred Ventures. It's a seed stage $550 million venture capital fund based right here in San Francisco. Steve served as an early advisor and angel investor since founding at Uber and an early venture backer of Coinbase, Humane, Tonal, Postmates, Color Health, and over 80 other startups. Previously, Steve was a software entrepreneur and the co-founder of several companies in the consumer internet space. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for that. But I'm going to need you to give even more applause to the very first company. We're going to bring out from Carlsbad, California, Diagnostics. Presenting for Diagnostics is Dr. Octavian Florisco and Anna Florisco. Come on out, guys. Give them a round of applause.
Hi, my name's Octavian, and I'm no stranger to danger. My biggest adventure so far was starting this company and disrupting blood testing. The blood testing market is huge. It's about $90 billion. The big problem is that it's spread over thousands of applications. These existing blood analyzers could only detect a handful of indications, and most customers can't really pay the cost of ownership in order to cover the tests that they need. Diagnostics is making testing easier and more affordable, not with a universal analyzer, but by eliminating the analyzer altogether. We've done that by integrating into this tiny device. We've integrated the centrifuge, basically the drop of blood sample prep. We've integrated, we've integrated the spectrophotometer, and this also connects to your USB. I present the quick blood test. It takes a drop of blood, and the device hooks up to your phone with a dongle, a USB-C dongle, and you get the results on the screen. In this case, we're testing for ALT and AST. These are two liver enzymes that tell you whether or not your liver is working fine. And the reason we're working with ALT and AST is because they complement the existing menus of blood gas analyzers, but they could only be measured spectrophotometrically. So we're launching this into the veterinary space, where emergency veterinarians could use it to run rapid screens for anesthesia or drugs before they admit the patients. I will pass it over to demo. Let's go to demo, and Anna will run a blood test for us. So all you need to get started is in this box that Anna has. She launches the app on the phone, which prompts her to connect the dongle. You got to get the OS to let you in. There you go. Then you take a device out of the pouch, you open it up, and you insert it into the dongle like that. This is a phone blood test. The device heats up on its own, so you could run it in temperatures that don't actually match what you'd like. And once it's heated, you enter a patient ID, you enter operator information, you enter the test you want to run. In this case, we have ALT and AST. And you also have the opportunity to select the blood type. So you could run whole blood, plasma, or serum. And there's a dilution factor in case you have out-of-range samples over 1,000 units per liter. So there's Anna inputting the results, or inputting that, and she's putting 1 drop of blood directly on the inlet and pressing play. Awesome. Okay, back to presentation. Let's take a look what's going. Actually, before we do that, let's go back to demo. This is a device she ran earlier, so you could see the results on the screen right there that give you an indication of what's going on. So anything below 50 is normal for humans, and anything above 50 can be problems with the liver. Specifically, if you have acute liver failure, you could even go over 1,000. So these devices are intended for veterinary and research use only, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we ran a drop of blood. Back to presentation. So let's take a look what's going on. In this integrated device, we have a spectrophotometer. Reagents first start by passing through a filter. The clicker's not really working. We have an integrated filter that traps red blood cells but releases plasma with reagents in it. So if this is a very modular design, it's simple, it doesn't have pumps, doesn't have filters, it doesn't have valves, and the plasma with the reagents goes directly into the cuvettes here. If you want to change out the application, you just change the reagents and the filters. These cuvettes are tiny. They're about 50 nanoliters. So it's about the size of a grain of sand, but better than 3% precision on the path length. We have an optic that takes light from a narrowband LED, splits it multiple ways, and passes it through the cuvette. So we're currently using 2 out of the 4 cuvettes, which allows us to expand the menu by 2 more. Finally, we have our microchip that we designed. There we go. I'm going to stand over here a little bit. We have the microchip that we designed that digitizes the opacity of the sample and runs the data through SPI to our USB-C dongle. So we ran these devices at UC Davis, one of the leading veterinary universities in the world. We ran 100 animal samples across 5 different species, and we achieved an R-squared of 0.97 for ALT and a 0.99 for AST. These devices, this test represents about a $200 million market in the veterinary space. Like I mentioned, the emergency and critical care alongside the blood gas analyzer is a first opportunity. We also have customers that are monitoring dogs at home for liver disease. And finally, we're also interested in the research market where you could tail nick a mouse, get a small drop of blood. You don't have to anesthetize the mouse or have a terminal bleed, and you could run your liver toxicity studies. But beyond this, there's a broader veterinary market, which we call the rapid chemistry segment. So beyond liver market, there's the rapid chemistry segments, which is about $2 billion. Now, this is a pretty interesting market in the sense that It has no low-cost competitors. It has only about 20 analytes that are all generic. There's no proprietary antibodies or reagents to go after, and there's no barriers to entry. So after liver, we plan to expand the menu. We're working on creatine kinase and a couple other applications in order to get to market. The blood testing market
Got to wrap it up.
is much bigger. It's about $15 billion, and we are going to disrupt it by changing the model from a razor blade to a single-use disposable. And I'll leave you with the video of our assembly system. This is how we control costs. We're vertically integrated. We've designed everything. And please come join us, early adopters. Please come help us out and conquer this market and change blood testing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Give them a round of applause. Let's go to the judges. Poe, we'll start with you.
So congratulations for having 2 liver enzyme tests, but help us understand why your technology, say to expand to a complete metabolic panel and other analytes that you'd be looking for, you classically need aptamers for every one of those. Like, help us understand what at the core can help us go from 2 tests to this sort of at least 20 up to 50 that's in demand from the market right now.
So general chemistries generally don't need aptamers. What happens is that it's a reaction in the plasma, so you have to introduce reagents, and those reagents are, you're not talking about large antibodies or large molecules that you're going after, it's small reactions, so small molecules. And so all the general chemistries are non-proprietary. We could change the filters out, and we could basically expand the menu in order to make a test that runs all of them at once. So it's a scaling issue that we have to work on, but the technology lends itself to easy multiplexing, so we're able to hit all of those indications on a device that looks like this.
So it's then still a chip for each test as opposed to a non-reagent system.
So we have the possibility to put 4 tests. I don't have a mic. So with this system, we can have 4 tests on this chip, and we can talk backstage about the possibility to do 16 on one chip.
Thank you.
So I'm going to let Poe stick to the science questions because I'm not going to pretend to be a medical expert. But can I ask a little bit about commercialization? So you're thinking about selling this through vet clinics, from my understanding, or as a big part of this. What is the ROI to a vet clinic when you think about upfront cost of buying the mechanism and then over time using it? And how do you think about that sales cycle to the vet practitioner?
Yeah, so we found a few amazing niches for us, especially in the exotics market. So our selling point is that we have small blood volume. So you only need 20 microliters. When you have a bird or a small animal, this is amazing for them. And we have had great feedback from all of the conferences we've been to. We have about 600 leads already, and people are super excited about it. So they said they would probably pay more than we are actually charging if we make it targeted for exotics. That's only one of them, but we have 5 other use cases that we're happy to talk about.
Yeah, maybe a related question to that. Assuming there's another company out there that's coming at the same blood testing market from the consumer or human angle, what advantages do you see for you all having the veterinary as your sort of entry point and wedge?
Well, we love our vets. We love working with them. So we want to be in that market and just exhaust every possibility that we can have. And that gives us such an amazing training for us to check and break all of our limits. So we want to try and see where we can extend and how can we expand and learn as we go. So this is wonderful. And once we know that we can tackle the human market, we're ready.
And I'd like to add that one of the advantages is that they don't have an instrument that they have to install. So they get a box, they use it, and they run with it. And so there's no training, there's no extra instruments. So low capital cost, low cost of ownership. Just use it alongside their existing systems, and they get more information out of the drop of blood.
Libby?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about your pricing model? You mentioned a lot of vets and physicians that you're targeting actually can't afford the analyzer. So can you talk about your pricing model a little bit more?
Sure. I don't know that the cost of the analyzer is necessarily the issue. It's more the cost of ownership. So you're talking about the time it takes. The cost of the analyzer is an issue, the limitation that it has in terms of menu, so you don't want to have multiple analyzers. This is a way of augmenting their menus without additional analyzers, the training, et cetera. So there's a lot of cost that goes into it, and we lower that cost tremendously for them by making it so easy, like a glucometer. They use a glucometer, even though it has a limited menu, because it's easy to use, and they get good data out of it.
How much blood do you have to draw?
Only 20 microliters. So usually 50 microliters is considered a drop, so half of that.
And then for a full, you said you can do 16 tests, up to 16 tests on a chip. Is there any incremental blood draw that you need for that? Or is it one blood draw at that volume?
Yeah, that's in the works. So it's definitely not going to be 10 microliters per analyte, but we don't know how much that would actually.
So it might be a full vial.
No,
We won't get to a full vial. There's a lot of scaling that's still available in the system right now. Like we can make the well smaller, we can make the filter smaller. This is product one to get our feet wet. We can modularly scale easily, and then there's also a significant amount of miniaturization that's still left in the system to get to the point where one drop of blood gives you your complete metabolic profile.
So if a veterinarian office or a research lab, they would have to swap out those modules or have multiple devices for all of these tests.
It's just disposable. So they don't actually have to do anything. Once the product becomes available, they can just buy it. So there's no reverse compatibility issues. There's no analyzer that they have to maintain or upgrade. They just buy the latest thing that comes out and use it on their phone.
So let's take One Medical. If they were to do, not send anyone out to any of the third-party testing offices, they're doing it internally. Can you speak to the unit economics of each purchase that they need to make and the consumption that they have per maybe 100 patients, 1,000 patients?
Quickly, please.
Well, so the unit economics would probably make sense on a service model where these would go directly to the patient homes. They'd run the test and the data would come back to them. So from their perspective, it's just a value add, right? They're upselling their customers and say, hey, you could do this service. We get a cut of it. You get better service, and everybody's happy.
I'm going to take the last question. Are you guys dogs or cat people?
Both.
Both.
Oh, that's great. That's the best answer. Thank you so much. Give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay.